Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. There are many things that are happening in the world right now. We're going to be sharing as much as we can with you. Obviously, if you're tuning in from the UK, the Palestine Action story is massive and has huge implications, especially for activists and just anybody who's been talking about this issue and been protesting against the genocide in Gaza over the last couple of years. At least this is going to have a chilling effect, one might expect, on protests, but maybe not. Maybe not. The reaction to this has been pretty incredible so far. We'll cover that story in a few minutes. And again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. Thank you for joining us. And hello to everybody on X as well. We're streaming out live on our main X channels as well on that platform. So thank you for joining us as well. This is episode 553 of this weekly omnibus news and analysis radio program. If you're new to the Sunday Wire, we do a different kind of a show. We produce a different kind of a program than a lot of the other podcasters. So we do interviews sometimes, but it's more of an interactive, more of a dynamic show. We'll be taking our listeners, our reader comments as well during Overdrive. We'll be reviewing the best comments from Rumble, YouTube, and some of the other platforms. So we encourage you to participate there. We'll also be doing a little bit of multimedia analysis as well. We have some video clips, some news clips as well that we'll be bringing onto the screen. Now, as far as new platforms go, some of you will have noticed I've started a new presence on a platform called Substack. So we'll bring that up on screen here. That's my Substack page, Patrick Henningsen. You can just go to Substack and you'll find it there, patrickhenningsen.substack.com. And yeah, we just started this a couple of weeks ago, and it's kind of, gradually getting that channel together. And so it's a different type of content than what I put on 21st Century Wire, what we're publishing there with our great team at 21 Wire. Obviously, this is different. It's a little more personal to myself, so you'll see a slightly different side, a little more of a writer's platform, Substack. So this is a new piece that I wrote just yesterday called Why I Write. So you get a little bit of a insight into my background, a little bit more about what I'm about, what my motivations are, and we'll see how that develops. So it'll be an interesting platform as it gets together. So Substack, a lot of great content creators there. Obviously, you have to be on every platform, but what I chose to do is do something a little different on that platform. So it will be very different content than what we're putting out every day at 21stcenturywire.com. We do have some great reports, and a big thanks to Freddie Ponton in our global affairs department. He's doing an amazing job, as are everybody on our team. So there'll be a number of new stories at 21st Century Wire, which will be out on Monday. So do keep your eyes peeled on our main website on Monday. Now, we'll bring on this Palestine Action story because we'll bring this on in a few minutes because it's just incredible. But in America, this man, I don't know what to say about this man. There's a few things happening with the Donald, the Gulf of America. Yeah, another Trump development. So the 4th of July, American Independence Day, celebrated over the weekend. So it's a bank holiday of sorts in America. And this is about the best picture I could find of Trump. He's looking a little bit worse for wear. There might have been some Photoshop action going on in this one. But the country has never been in a more precarious position. And as it's 4th of July, I would have liked to see a different type of independence declaration. In fact, why not a declaration of independence from the state of Israel and from the Israeli lobby? I mean, I think it's high time. So for this special anniversary of American independence, why don't Americans get together, Republicans and Democrats, and declare independence from the Israeli lobby? Let's face it, they've got the U.S. Congress by the neck, and they've got this president by you-know-what. It's just unbelievable what America, what the United States is having to do on behalf of this little European colonial settler project, this genocidal colonial settler project known as Israel. And I'm putting it nicely, as nice as I possibly can, because I could say a lot worse. And I hope you're not going to be offended. I'm not going to go there. I'm being polite about it. But I think it's hard to argue that this is not the most controlled U.S. government in the history of the country, controlled by a foreign entity, a foreign lobby to be specific, a foreign lobby that doesn't have to register as a foreign agent. They get special privileges. So they just drag the United States into a unprovoked war against Iran on another fake WMD gambit, another fake nuclear weapons. Saddam Hussein's got nuclear weapons. You remember George W. Bush? A smoking gun could turn into a mushroom cloud. Remember that? I'm old enough to remember that. We were out in the streets protesting that, saying, don't go to war against Iraq. Don't fight a war for Israel, for Bibi Netanyahu. But they did it anyway. And here we are, 20-odd years later, 22 years later, repeat against Iran. And Israel demanded the U.S. and this president here, this guy. They demanded this guy come in and bail them out because they were getting hammered by the Iranians. Israel started a war. They thought it was going to be done and dusted. They thought the people would rise up and overthrow the Ayatollah. It didn't happen. Instead, Iran launched True Promise 3, and Tel Aviv is now being gentrified. In a nutshell, that's kind of like what happened over a couple of weeks, what they call the 12 Days War. That war is not over, by the way. Israel's and the United States are planning follow-up attacks now. This was just a pause. Trust me, it's just a pause. This is going to be a long war. Now we have Azerbaijan in the mix as well. Israel and the United States are using Azerbaijan, it appears anyway, as a type of a staging ground, as a type of a cudgel to poke both Russia and Iran. This is not going to end well for Azerbaijan, I can tell you right now. They really need to tread carefully because they're playing with fire, they're playing with geopolitical fire, and World War III could kick off in that part of the world. We discussed that just on Wednesday with the Midweek Wire, Wednesday and Thursday with Arnaud Devalet and Freddie Ponton. Great discussion. So that's what's happening with, so the Donald, little bit of a break. He passed the big, beautiful bill, or I guess it's not quite there yet, but it seems to be on the way. The big, beautiful bill, the big $2-3 trillion overspend. So that $36 trillion U.S. debt's going up. It'll hit 40 trillion before Donald Trump's out of office. So, so much for Doge. Remember that? Remember Doge? Doge. Oh, we're gonna rein in spending. Here's my buddy Elon Musk. Elon's up to has got a new project on the go, a new political party. We'll talk about that in Overdrive. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I have my own opinions about what it actually is, but we'll leave that for the moment. In terms of the Iranian, back to the Iranian Gambit, we'll bring this up on screen as well. Seymour Hersh, Substack. The U.S. attack on Iran may not have wiped out its nuclear ambitions. No kidding. Was it an obliteration? Well, Trump likes to say it's total obliteration of the Iranian nuclear program. Was it? Was it really? I don't know. This is that key. Here's a key passage in this Hersh article here. More important, he said, was that there was no post-strike hints detected of radioactivity, more evidence that the 450 pounds of enriched uranium had been moved from the Fordo nuclear site to reprocessing in Isfahan prior to the U.S. attack, codenamed Midnight Hammer by the United States. They've always got these funny names for these operations. Operation Midnight Hammer. I think Pete Hegseth probably thought that one up. So Iran moved the enriched uranium Centrifuge activity, not severely damaged. They probably removed quite a lot of that. So not totally obliterated, Donald. Not totally obliterated. And I'll bet you Pete Hegseth got a new tattoo. What do you think? He probably got Midnight Hammer right across his bicep above the infidel tattoo. That's our defense secretary. Totally adorned in tattoos. Totally adorned. He should be a motorcycle mechanic, but somehow he got promoted from Fox and Friends weekend host, not even an anchor, not even a co-anchor, a weekender, from Fox Weekend to the head of the Pentagon. That is a hell of a career path. Never been done before. There's a reason why it's never been done before, because you don't want incompetent people doing important jobs when they've been promoted to their level of incompetence, i.e. Pete Hegseth. So that's one for the books there. We'll talk about Palestine Action. We'll bring this up on screen here. So High Court ruling in the UK. This was just on Friday. Actually, this was going on while we were reporting live on the UK column. We piped in Wilsey from Resistance GB live in front of the Royal Courts of Justice. And they deliberated until midnight. I think there's an appeal. It's been lodged by the legal team for Palestine Action. So the UK government has labeled them a terrorist group. How about that? Pretty incredible stuff. A terrorist group. So this is a grassroots activist organization. Okay. They haven't committed any terrorist acts like in terms of what one might equate to, quote, terrorism, i.e. the use of violence, like, bombs and things like. No, they haven't done any of that. What they are guilty of, what the government is accusing them of, is criminal damage. Criminal damage against the military-industrial complex. And somehow this is threatening British national security. That's the argument the government's making. Is it a valid argument? That's a stretch. That's a stretch. A lot of people say no. Well, the government says yes. Well, they would do. This is why they went for this major move. So this is an incredible situation. Unbelievable. I mean, it's hard to walk this back if you're the state, because if you think about it, all of these green organizations, these climate organizations, the things they've done, supergluing themselves to, trains, Just Stop Oil, a lot of criminal damage. Okay, so same type of thing, criminal damage. But one is now a terrorist group. And in the UK, if you're shown to support Palestine Action, now that they've been, quote, proscribed as a terrorist group, ergo, anybody who shows support, who has on their Twitter bio, whatever, I support Palestine Action, anybody who says anything like that, then you're guilty of a terrorism offense. I mean, talk about a slippery slope. I think this is like a little bit over the top. I think there's a lot over the top. They've gone completely overboard on this. Why is the government doing this? A grassroots organization, direct action, civil disobedience, the suffragettes, the women who campaigned for the right to vote at the beginning of the 20th century, the famous suffragettes in Britain, late 19th century, early 20th century, they used bombs. They were never proscribed as a terrorist organization, but they planted bombs and things like that. So why are they doing this? Is this at the behest of the Israeli lobby? I think that's probably the answer. The Israeli lobby is powerful, conservative friends of Israel, labor friends of Israel. The entire government, much like in the United States, is more or less captured and quite scared to go against this lobby. And check it out. Look at this. Retired priest, 83 years old, among Palestine Action protesters arrested. So I've got a clip from Sky News here, and we'll play this. This will get. I mean, we're 83-year-old retired priest arrested under the Terrorism Act for holding up a little a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that said I support Palestine Action or something like that. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? When you have this type of thing happening afterwards, you know it was a bad ruling by the government, because this is just ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Here's Sky News, and look at how the media is just like reporting this like it's just some kind of, normal pedestrian development, and the media have no opinion on it at all. You notice they're just like totally hands off, even though this affects potentially their job. Journalists could be harangued by the state for being perceived to show support for what was yesterday an activist group and today a terrorist group, according to the UK judiciary. Here's Sky News. I mean, take a look at this.
Why were so many people arrested in Parliament Square?
The people who should be prescribed are the ones killing children.
Essentially, it's because they were showing support for what the government has deemed is now an illegal and terrorist organisation. That's Palestine Action. Now, the Home Secretary took that move after two members allegedly broke into RAF Bryce Norton last month, spraying Air Force jets with red paint, causing £7 million worth of damage. Now, showing support for an outlawed group can be holding up a banner in support or indeed holding up a logo. And that's what we saw in Parliament Square. So the police moved in and made those arrests. Now, lawyers for the group have been before the High Court and the Court of Appeal, arguing that they needed a pause before this ban came into effect. But so far, judges have sided with the government.
Yeah, a pause would have been good. That would have been the smart thing to do. Have a little, if you're going to go full fascist on this, at least give it, wait till Monday so people can like fold up their banners. But no, it came into effect midnight, and the arrests begin. And we'll go over the pensioners first. The retired priests, pensioners, and other peaceniks, let's arrest them under terrorism charges first. How ridiculous. This is beyond ridiculous. But anyway, we saw it coming. That's why we reported on this at 21st Century Wire during the week. If you follow our website, you probably would have seen this story here, revealed how Israel lobby got Keir Starmer to ban Palestine Action. That was before the final ruling there. And yeah, the lobby leaned hard on the government, and the government capitulated. It's as simple as that. And it didn't stop there. Oh, by the way, just so you know, this is Yvette Cooper. She's the Home Secretary. All of these members of Parliament were under some sort of direct pressure or indirect pressure from these various Israeli lobby groups. Okay? Here's the language which you need to pay close attention to. We talked about this on Friday with Mike Robinson at the UK Column News. And this is the Home Secretary. This disgraceful attack on Bryce Norton, where they spray painted planes with red paint, Air Force Base, RAF Bryce Norton, in the early hours of the morning of Friday, June the 20th, is the latest in a long history of, quote, unacceptable criminal damage committed by Palestine Action. So even the words of the Home Secretary say, she's not saying terrorist attack. She's saying criminal damage. Criminal damage is not terrorism, according to the law. So again, it's even in their own words. And this is also a very key piece here. And she says the UK's defense enterprise is vital to the nation's national security. And this government will not tolerate those that put that security at risk. So if you explain to me, how is it's national security, defense enterprise, look at the word, enterprise. They're talking about business. They're talking about defense contractors, many of whom are publicly traded on the stock market. So what are we really talking about here? We're talking about the military-industrial complex. So this action by the government is really to defend the industry, the defense industry that's been disrupted. So these people are, these activists are trying to stop an ongoing genocide. Understand this, that's happening in Gaza. They're trying to stop these Israeli defense contractors from sending arms from the UK to Israel. And Israel is, according to the International Courts of Justice and the ICC, are engaged in an ongoing genocide. This is beyond debate at this point. And the UK is not only a signatory to the Arms Control Act, meaning they can't supply weapons to any country that's involved in human rights abuses. And what Israel's doing in Gaza is way beyond human rights abuse. Again, the ICJ says it's genocide. So the UK government has an obligation to stop supplying weapons, to sanction Israel. They have that obligation under international law, international humanitarian law, which they've signed up to. They've ratified these treaties. The other one is the Genocide Convention. That is, every government, every person in this country or in any European country who's signed to the Genocide Convention is duty bound. They're obligated to do whatever they can to stop a genocide from happening or from continuing. It's worse now that you know it's happening. So now if you do stop it from continuing, you even have to act if you think it's going to happen. You have that right. So where's the UK government has just shirked its duties on all these important international agreements that form the post-World War II international order. How? Why? Why? So the government's willing to destroy the international legal framework for Israel so that Israel can continue a genocide. But what do you do when a government is trying to implement fascist, anti-democratic, anti-free speech, huge state overreach to shut down anybody trying to save lives? We're getting into very, very dangerous territory here as a country, as a civilization. I'll argue this is putting the entire international system at risk in much the same way that it was put at risk after World War I. In much the same way that brought down the League of Nations. I think we can make that argument. We can absolutely make that argument now. That's kind of what's happening. Back to the news. UK High Court hold back evidence whilst upholding F-35 controversial exports to Israel. What happened here? Well, this is what happened. The UK ignored its own spy footage when assessing Israel's compliance with international law. Britain has all the evidence because they've been assisting Israel in reconnaissance as they've been pulverizing Gaza. And they withheld that from this case. Unbelievable. Key documents also withheld from court on Israel's targeting of minors, sniping kids. That was withheld from the hearing. Okay. Foreign Office paid £715,000 for, quote, independent analysis on Gaza. It's all open source. What do you need? Go to the UN Human Rights Council. They've got plenty of information and analysis. The firm contracted by the Foreign Office, founded by former embassy official in Tel Aviv. Well, that's convenient. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, we're not showing you anything anything here that's secret. It's all public. But somehow it doesn't factor into the legal calculations when the government's trying to decide what to do with this activist group, Palestine Action, which are now, according to the government, a terrorist organization. And all of their members are now, ergo, terrorists. So the people trying to save lives, trying to stop children, women, men, innocent people from being bombed in their refugee tents, from being shot while they're trying to queue for food in a concentration camp erected by the Americans and the Israelis under a fake NGO under investigation for fraud called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. You can't be any more on the wrong side of this issue than you are by attacking the people that are trying to stop this international crime against humanity. I mean, it's really difficult to jump the shark any more than this. This is just this is next level. Anyway, we'll talk about this in the overdrive. I'm sure we're going to have this discussion. We've got a few more items to share on that. I want to hear what our teammates have to say. We'll be joined by Hesher, Ruckus, hopefully Basil Valentine as well. Certainly Basil will have something to say about it. We'll do that in a few minutes after the break. Look, in the meantime, there's a new track out by a very powerful performance poet from South London. His name's Beady Man. You may not have followed his work over the years, but he's pretty powerful. He's got a new track out called Viva Falestina, and this is literally fresh off the press. We literally just got it like earlier today or late last night. It's just been released. We've got a link to his YouTube channel. We're waiting for a download link, and I think he's kind of doing this at least in aid of the medical aid for Palestine, those sort of charitable causes, but it's really more than that. This is just to raise awareness. So among many artists, including the ones we saw at Glastonbury, Bob Valen, Kneecap, and all these other artists, there's a bunch of others. I tweeted out a few more that have joined this this cause. So it's great to see the artist community step up on this. And we'll play that track right now. Anyway, stay with us. This is the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. Thank you for joining us on the live streams. We'll be back in a few minutes. In the meantime, here is Beady Man, the poet. Viva Falestina.
If hope was a race, then it's finished. And if death has a smell, you can smell it. When limited freedom is diminished. And if evil has a touch, you have felt it. When there's no safe place to rest your head. And a child's greatest dream is for a loaf of bread in the rubble. She uncontrollably cries, a limbless child with lifeless eyes. Bombs relentlessly rain down from the skies to claim more hopes, more dreams, more lives. He tricks you into thinking that he doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you all shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, Viva Falestina, Viva Falestina, Viva Falestina, free Palestine. Shaban Adalu, we remember your name. Hooked up to an ivy and engulfed in flame. I really don't know if I'll ever be the same after witnessing these images and feeling his pain. I sit here in comfort and the tears fall from my eyes, feeling totally hopeless, watching you get terrorized. He tricked you into thinking that doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are Taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you all shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, Viva, Viva Falestina, Viva, Viva Falestina, Viva, Viva Falestina, free, 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 free Palestine. You see, when ignorance screams, intelligence stays silent. You can't reason with a fanatic, they'll just resort to being violent. An asymmetry of info that promotes the oppressor, whilst a name Palestine becomes a victim of the censor. The Palestinian people remain victim to the occupier, and the Zionist aggressor just plays a victim forever. 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 He tricks you into thinking that he doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, Viva, Viva Falestina, Viva, Viva Falestina, Viva, Viva Falestina, free, 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 free Palestine. Wherever you find oppression, you'll also find resistance. You label them as terrorists, I see them fighting for existence. He tricked you into thinking that he doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you all shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, Viva, Viva Falestina, Viva, Viva Falestina, Viva, Viva Falestina, free, 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 free Palestine.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time.
And thanks for bombs that wreck Gaza one more time. For helping me pin it on Iran, that's the crime. Let me spin you a tale, talk you in its bedtime.
Our world is in upheaval.
We brand our foes as evil, it's our goal to spell. Labels ready-made, we wield them well. Terrorists, anti-Semites, animals all on sale. Every option laid out, no detail is too frail. Let me share my plan, it's all about me. Survival's the goal, friends, just let me be. Uncle Sam sends dollars, bombs, arms endlessly. Through twisted lenses, he pretends to see clearly. I could quote the Bible, but that's just for show. It's occupation versus civilization. As you know, accusations by confession, the truth's on a low. Decades of incarceration, yet you clap for the show.
We win, they lose.
I can't breathe anymore, this noose is too tight. Just not as I blame in the dead of the night. We're criminals in truth, but that's our plight. Gentlemen in the headlines, painted in white.
Suddenly, heaven turned into hell.
We raised the homes, gave the order to shell. Bomb schools, mosque, hotels, there's more to tell. Not just that, hospitals fell as well. Thank you, madams and sirs, for funding this hell.
I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel.
Think this ain't real, it's all colonial play. Joe helps me claim defense in the broad daylight. Good man he is, though his words sway, supporting me, even when his talk's not right. They killed with rage, Arab women, kids in their prime. Gaza's an open-air cage, living on borrowed time. More deaths on the way, they've sworn the crime. So we pin badges of courage in this bloody rhyme. What God's green earth am I ranting about? I'll take you on a ride, no doubt. But can't lie about genocide, that's out. Humanity's priceless, funds are what it's about. They call it occupation, a regime of hate, a racist dream built on a bloodthirsty state. causing death, grief and pain at every gate. Yet I stand here and you still wait. And what I'm doing, I stand up in disguise, playing the victim, that's my pride. But ouch, they're burning me in effigy skies.
And I want to say thank you, America.
I love you and your hamburgers, that's no bluff. My soldiers loved you as pampers, just enough. No more Octobers, but we had our stuff. And we're the symbol of heroic grace. Not apartheid or racist to any place. Butter wouldn't melt in my mouth, no trace. From north to south, where the embrace face.
They call Israel a colonialist state.
I think I'm kidding, grab the Times, take a read. Ask the White House, they're trying to lead, but they need more training to follow my creed.
That Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
Speak of Iran, my arms go weak, my mouth goes sour. Let's find a new land to devour. Their might threatens our tower, hour by hour. Victory's near, but is it on my side? Defeating the enemies where I can find, but that's not in me. So prayers I need, and tax dollars, so my plans can proceed. We aim to make Gaza unlivable, our Nobel Prize. Then find a new place to colonize. Take the world back from the infidel guys. Make this region a 5-star paradise. Thank you, my lies have reached their demise.
Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza.
Lies have reached their demise.